Just over the past decade, scientists have found a molecule that secretes dopamine and hormones into our bodies. Now, how does that happen? We activate it when we contract our muscles. These myokines actually fight anxiety, depression, mental health issues, and all we have to do is create movement where there's contraction. Now, that's one of the many benefits of movement. And today we have a guest expert who's going to talk to us about exercise and some of the myths about what's the perfect diet and what's the perfect exercise. Hopefully by the end of this, you'll be convinced anew why movement is such an important piece for not only our body, but for our brain. I am so excited to have our guest today. This is Helina Bevelas, and I want to tell you, you're in for a really big treat. I wanted you to be able to have someone whose genius was in understanding motion in a way that a lot of people don't understand. And she's actually been very influential for me, myself, as someone who's benefited from her coaching and her expertise. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. But today we're going to do some myth busting, right?
Yep.
And Helina comes with a lot of certifications and training. Some of the certifications she's done is the NESM, but she's also done the corrective exercise. And this is what makes her an incredible expert in an area where a lot of people say, I'm hurt, I've got these injuries, I cannot exercise. And this is the one that people come to and go, what can I do now? And she's able to modify things, get people exercising again, and maybe she'll describe a little bit of that. But Helina, you have a lot of expertise and a lot of training and certifications. And I know I'm not going to do it justice. Is there some things that you want to add to your depth?
You know, it's been about 10 years of constant yearly, discovery and learning. So I typically like to find people that are really educated and within doctors, or the internet has been very helpful, which I really have appreciated, where I can find people that I can read their books and learn from them, and doctors around the US that I typically like to travel to more than just take the certifications. So some of my favorites have been Kelly Starrett. I read all his books and was able to take his very last course that he was teaching. And it was just a game changer, I think, with learning how the body moves. And I adapt a lot of these people's principles into teaching with my students and clients. And another one was Ido Portal. He's a big mover, and I was able to take his last course also, actually, in traveling to the US too. He usually is in Israel, so that was a game changer too.
Isn't that great when we're led to the people that influence us and give us the knowledge and expertise that we need?
Yeah.
Where are you at? Let's give a plug in for where you're at.
I'm at Skills Fitness right now, and I have developed my own program through just learning from all these different doctors. And I take pieces. It's called hybrid because it is a hybrid of many different movements and motions and core and stability and strength, and just what I found have worked with people over the years.
I felt inspired about 4 months ago that I really needed to change up what I was doing physically, the motion that I had in my life. And I was pretty active as far as taking care of animals, walking twice a day, but there is more to life than just walking. And when I was asking around, the place that everyone said you have to go is to the hybrid room. And that was with Helina, and graciously she had room for me. Game changer for me, because it isn't just lifting weights or body weights, and it's Helina giving us structurally what it needs to look like, what muscles need to be engaging, the physiology, the psychology of it, the exercises, the routines that she has provided for us. Every single day it's something different. And every day I look forward to getting up and working out. Never thought I'd say that in my entire life, but you almost don't want to miss it. because there's always something engaging and fun. And there is the synergy that happens when you're around a lot of other people that are in the process of movement. So if you've got a group that you can join, that's something great. But today
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
want to really kind of talk a little bit about why is movement important. And there's a lot of myths out there, right, about movement.
Oh, yeah. It's complex and there's rules and it's intimidating. And I think myth busting, a good direction to go is it's really complex for people to begin. And it's really so hard sometimes that they end up quitting. And so I just want to help people know that it's not as challenging and as hard as you may feel like it is. That's what sometimes society and um, everything makes you feel like when there's so much, you're just on overload. Like, what should I do? How should I eat? What should I do to exercise? What's the best way for this? What's the worst way? And it's not too complex.
Well, and I think for anybody, change brings up fear.
Yeah.
But when you step into something and you try it and you overcome that, or you have instructions of people that can lead the way, what a difference it can make, right?
Yeah.
So what is some of the most negative things that have happened to health?
I think the most negative impact on health is when diets happened and the word fitness. Like sometimes
Mhm.
fitness makes me just cringe because fitness got image driven and fitness started not becoming intuitive and strength based. And for health, it started becoming how can I look a certain way, which
Mm.
is nice. We all want to have a fit, healthy body. But if we can change our mind frame to how can I get strength? What are the goals? What's the longevity of this? What do I want to accomplish in the many, many years? Then we do get fit. So we have the image that we want to because we can stay consistent with it. And diets have just really eaten away at the mental health of people. So I like to be more of an intuitive eater and teach people how to intuitively eat, but I know that's not for everyone. So I have lots of little tricks that can help people. So it's not overwhelming, but yes, diet and fitness. So diet in the sense of it took away us being mentally healthy. And it's really hard for everybody. What is this diet the best? Is that diet the best? And then you end up trying tons of diets.
And that's interesting because we had a private chef on a couple episodes ago. And one of the things off camera, she told me, she goes, it drives me crazy when people say, what's better, vegan, vegetarian, keto? Which one of these diets should I be eating? And she said, eat what your body needs.
Yeah. And
And that's being
yeah.
intuitive, right?
Yeah, it's so discouraging and so hard when you just don't know what to do. But no fear, it's not that hard. So, with diet, just like your friend said, you do want to find what's best for you. And that's why there's so many different things out there. But I wouldn't suggest trying them all to figure out what is the best for you. If you can just eat healthy, and that's different for everybody. Some people mainly they don't eat enough fruits and vegetables and get enough protein. So if you can just get enough protein, so that's your number one goal. Get enough protein in and then move a little bit more. So the rule of thumb when you're trying to gain muscle and actually trying to lose weight, it's about the same, is about zero point 0.8, or let's just say about a gram per body weight. So if I am 135 pounds, I always rough things. I'm not going to make it like I'm not going to calculate too much. I just say, oh, about 100. If I can get 100 grams of protein in a day, that's great. I also don't calculate it up unless I'm going to be, unless I want to lose weight or unless I'm trying to build muscle. So I just kind of roundaboutly think I'm going to eat a little bit more protein. I know this drives some people nuts.
Because everybody wants the exact answer, right?
And they're just like, especially for those ones that like to like calculate things down and have structure. So I understand that too. So the people that don't love having structure, and for the people that have had like mental triggers around food their whole life and food is bad, food is good. Sometimes I just start them out and see if they don't mind just doing a small plate and they do, well, I should say 2 palm size of vegetables and then 1 palm size of protein. And then you're gonna have about a little thumb size of fats, or I don't even necessarily suggest calorie counting either. But then we you can stay at that for a little while. Make sure you drink enough water. Just like get like 5 bottles in. You don't have to just worry too much. We just want to drink more water.
I just learned from a nutritionalist
Yeah.
that when we eat our water, then more of that goes in the cell than if just drinking water. So not only do we need to drink water, but we also need to eat water. So that would be like your celeries, your, any lettuces that have a high water content. So I thought that was kind of interesting too.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Truly calories in and calories expended that loses the weight,
Yeah,
or
that's
what
it.
is that the saying? What
Yeah.
is the saying?
Oh, yeah. There's like that documentary, or there's like YouTube things on people that have only eaten junk food with 1,600 calories, like Twinkies and stuff, and they've lost weight on that. Your cholesterol and stuff probably doesn't do so well. You don't feel the best, but it is. So I wouldn't kill yourself working out either. I'd just be like, how much do I move? Do I have a job that I sit down all day long?
So move more,
Just move more,
move
go on
more.
walks, move more, eat
And
less.
I will add, because of the brain component of this, do your emotional work around things,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I think emotions have a tendency to keep weight on, or protection, or different things like that too. So there is an emotion. But when we
yeah,
move, I think that's a way of releasing emotional stress and anxiety and things.
yeah, yeah. And to get back to the subject of movement too, movement is so important. And again, that's again just like diet. It's easy to be so intimidated to start that you never start. And it's easy to go full force on moving and then you just give up because you're like, wait, I have to do this for forever. I'm only losing a half a pound or no weight, or I'm only doing this to lose weight. What's the point of this? But when you do connect it with your brain, when it's for your mental health, and you see the difference after of being able to sort through subconscious things. I do that all the time. Sometimes I work out with no music or nothing, and I just let my body feel emotions. And that's
Mm.
some people meditate, but so I'm a really busy, active person that doesn't really like to sit still too long. And so sometimes I meditate, but I use my exercise time as meditating. And so I'll let whatever comes up while I'm working out, feel the feelings and solutions come, or, whatever that inner child's like not
Yeah.
liking at the moment. And then sometimes I
Yeah.
don't feel like it. And I have the things that I like to listen to, like podcast wise, whether parenting books or the inner child work. So, I mean, if that interests anybody too, they could use that time and double up, like, like
Yeah.
mental health and physical health.
Well, when we talk about movement, there is so many different varieties of movement that we can do, right? And movement, of course, is so important because not only does, like you said, for your mental health, anxiety, stress, processing emotions, not only for your cardiovascular, for your heart, for your blood pressure, etc., but it also develops the brain. In fact, when babies are small, they start to move right away. They move a lot, and the movement regulates the right and left hemisphere, but they're also processing through their senses, and the brain is developing. And I've heard and read some research around it. It says when we stop moving, our brain stops developing. It's not like our brain develops to a certain point and then it's static. We have the neurogenesis where we can grow new brain cells. We've got neuroplasticity where the connections are greater. So movement really facilitates that. So our body and our brain are very connected, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And there's been new studies with Alzheimer's too, that sometimes they say if you do the puzzles and stuff, it will help with the Alzheimer's. But more studies have actually come out with moving that helps you remember more. Coordination skills, cross coordination skills like dancing and lifting weights and cardio health. So it's not just moving to feel good or moving to get stress relief. There's a lot of health benefits for memory loss, and strength training. Muscle mass is what keeps our bone structure and everything upright,
Mm.
so we don't want to become like an old person that doesn't work our muscles and it's not holding us up anymore. We see the decline in our older age and then we go, oh, I need to work out suddenly, which is fine. You can start at any age. But if you can find something you enjoy, stick with it, then your later years are going to be very quality of life. So, with movement, to go back to kind of a question like, what is the best kind of like a myth bust? What is the best movement? I mean, like,
Is there a best
is there a
movement?
best movement? There's so much. I mean, it's so confusing. Social media is really tricky because consumerism hits us hard. So some people say only lift weights, only do muscle, just hardcore muscle. And then there's just so many different ways that you're like, well, what should I do and where do I need to start? There is no best thing. There's just move and find what you really love. So if there's something you really, really enjoy, then stick with that. And then, so say it's high fitness. There's something people love high fitness and they do that every single day. And if that's the only thing that you ever do every single day, then great, you're moving. Time might tell that you want to build some muscle mass and then you can add that in. But just to get started, do whatever you can to get started. You're going to look for a program that has strength training. So you're lifting weights, whether that be body weight or weights of some sort. And then you're going to look for some core training, some stability, because we need our joints to be healthy. We don't want to just lift heavy weights. And our bodies are like a house. So we have the inside beams and then the outside walls. And if we just built these outside walls without the beams, it would collapse in.
That makes sense.
So stability wise, if we don't strengthen our shoulders and our knees and our hips, our ankles, then our house or our body's going to cave in. We're going to have injuries. Not that injuries don't happen to all of us. It's nothing can prevent anything, but it can help us rehabilitate a little bit better if we have some stability training, some strength training, some core training, some mobility too. So myth bust is there's no one way. But if you can find somebody to help you with form, just, and help you so you can understand your own body, that is so helpful. And then you can say, is high fitness the best for me? Well, it's hurting my knees a little bit. And then you can have somebody that's like, well, let's add in some stability training for your knees. And then you get this like, okay, I got that figured out.
Well, and I think
Okay.
what was so interesting is as I've been in the hybrid room, my knees were bothering me, but yet you were able to identify it wasn't my knees, it was my hams and my quads
Yeah.
that were too tight.
Yeah.
And so the stretching part was something that now I incorporate even more so. But to have someone know anatomically what was going on with me was so helpful.
It is so helpful. So it is helpful to find somebody to help you. But if you can't find anybody, you can always you can just try to move. You can just try to move. There's no one way. If you're looking online and there's somebody that says 3 ways to get you mobile, or 3 ways, do these 3 exercises and you'll get strong here, or they're just an elitist, then there's a little red flag that goes up. And they're trying to pull in followers, or there's some sort of consumerism where they want to sell something. So, anyways, my whole point is it's not too complex. If you enjoy dancing, go ahead and do dancing.
We enjoy dancing.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's the point is just move.
Just move.
One of my favorite things to do is just even to put music on and dance around my house. Now, does it embarrass my kids? Yes, they're like, Mom, don't dance. But the point is my body is moving and it actually gets me in a different state of mind. I actually am able to do more. And maybe I'm not getting in super great shape doing that, but I'm getting in better shape than if I'm static. And have you ever heard that everything is symbolic, right? So if we're stuck in our life, one of the best things to do is get up and move. like maybe get up and for a walk or go for a run. And as we start having movement in our life, we start creating movement in other areas of our life.
Yeah.
And I have found that
Oh,
myself, that I was stuck with a project and I just couldn't figure it out. And then it dawned on me, we use the tools that you teach and Level Up, go outside and walk. And I went walking, and it was like I was telling my brain, we're moving forward. And then I came back and I had all these fresh ideas. So the body is very much a part of the brain.
oh, I agree. And who you love, Dr. Joe Dispenza. He is an advocate of that. He calls them walking meditations.
Mm.
And so it's not just for those of us that are like to move, or if you are like to meditate laying down, maybe that would be a great first step to start. Is my friend went to his in Costa Rica, a whole course of his, and I think they walked along the beach for hours and hours with the walking meditation. Yes, there's brain and body connection, and there are new ideas that happen, and there are shedding of so much, fears, pains, and it all. I like that way better.
So for someone who's been sedentary
Mhm.
and really hasn't done much, and I hopefully will be able to convince you that a sedentary lifestyle is one that can lead to a little bit of stagnation, mentally, emotionally, physically. I mean, our bodies were meant to move. That's why we have the limbs and joints and all of that. We feel so much better, but sometimes, like you said, it's intimidating. Where do I start? But what are some just simple things that people can do to just get out there and start moving?
Yeah. So when you said it first, before you said it bleeds on into your life, I've noticed this with lots of people when they start moving, that it bleeds on into so many different areas of their life. Because when you start moving and you're consistent and you have to work through pain and hardship and you're pushing yourself, you learn that pain and moving and stretching yourself and uncomfortable is not so bad anymore. And because you learn that through exercise, you're able to expand with business or and expand with other things and be like uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable. But if you want to just barely start and you don't know what to do, then you just start trying things. So maybe there's a group that does hikes, or you like to bike ride and you're like, I can't even bike ride. So you get an electric bike and you do your electric bike. If you were a dancer, you can take some dance classes. Pilates is a very non-aggressive place that lots of people start too. So you can get started at Pilates or yoga. I would suggest strength training. Strength training is so important. It could be body weight strength training. And that would be Pilates.
For those that don't understand that, that's using your own body weight as the
Yeah.
resistance versus
Yeah.
lifting weights.
Yeah, like
Right.
I would just experiment. You might have to go through a few little things to see what you like the best and what, just sparks something inside that's enjoyable for you. Pole fitness. I mean, there's a gamut of gymnastics. It doesn't have to
Now let's
be in the
back up here,
gym.
because poles are something that right?
Yes, yes. Oh,
Tell them a little bit about what poles
that's
are.
a love for me is acrobatic work. There's Lyra, there's Silks, there's adult classes, it doesn't have to be, you can find adult classes everywhere you go. There's handstand adult classes too.
Oh, wow.
So you just like start researching things that just pull you, pull you to something. Whatever you're starting at, I wouldn't start full shebang. So my people that come to my classes and they've never ever worked out before, I say, well, why don't you just pick an arm day and a leg day that you like and come for that for a little while. And then they are successful. So you have to give yourself a chance to build up confidence. And then when you are a couple weeks in and you're like, yeah, I mean, I kind of like this. And so say you have been doing whatever exercise you have been for a long time and you're getting kind of burned out on it. What is time to try something new?
Well, and I think going back to, you had said, pick something that you really like. I have to say that something that I did for many years is I taught dance in another lifetime.
Yeah.
And I hadn't danced for a long time. And I think when you love something, you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
If there's a sports that you've played, and then you haven't done it for a long time, it's still in there. It's still inside your soul, and you still want to
Yeah.
do it. Where I go, at the gym, well, it's a hip hop class, right? It's
Yeah.
and I decided that I go. Oh my goodness. My soul just lit up after the very first class. And even though in my mind I think I look like an instructor and I probably don't look anything like it, the fact is that I'm there and I'm moving and I'm having an exciting time and I'm doing something I absolutely love on in addition to some other things.
Yeah.
I think there's something that you said to me. It just has to be consistency.
Consistency of that.
But
Yeah.
what I've learned from other mentors out there, there's floors and there's ceilings. So there's, my ceiling would be, okay, I do 1.5 hour of whatever, 2 hours of workout, but my floor might be, I give it 15 minutes. I congratulate myself every day because I'm like, I showed up. I
Yeah.
showed up. And
Yeah.
so I think if we just do a little bit almost every day or 3 days a week,
Yeah.
but we're like, okay, at least I tried it.
That's a really good point because even me being a fitness instructor and my whole life and world is built around this, there's times that I feel the same that everybody else is. I'm tired or I don't want to do this. And there's days that I listen to that where I'm like, this is a day that needs to be a rest day. Or there's like, well, let's just go for 15 minutes. And then I feel proud of myself for that 15 minutes. And typically it turns into a little bit more because there's people around or I want to challenge myself and I do want to get strong. So yes, we pick our whatever we're going to get into, and it'll be fun at first, but we do want to challenge ourselves. So we don't want to be just picking up the 2 pound weights. And at first, maybe it is that because we haven't been there. We don't know the form. We're learning it, but we want to have to put some grit into it. So I typically say the last 2 reps, whatever you're doing, is where you can't do anymore, where you physically can't lift anymore, but your form is still good.
I think we also live in a time when there is so much instruction online where if we can't have a Helina in our life, and I know
Yeah.
many of you cannot, but or don't have that opportunity. There's so much instruction online. There's so many different things that we can do. At Level Up, we teach a whole physiology chapter. And the reason being is sometimes it's physiology before the psychology, because we can want to help our emotions, but if we're not eating right and we're not moving our body, we're not helping our brain at all. But 5 of the areas that we've kind of touched on today is one is doing aerobic exercises. And there's so many different kinds of aerobic exercises, right?
Oh,
What
yeah.
are some of the different things that would bring the aerobic part of it? Well, we know we talked about running, dancing. They play pickleball around here,
Oh, they love
which is
pickleball.
so fun. Tennis, anything where it's really getting your lungs out there. Then there's the strength training that you
Uh-huh.
talked about. And that could even happen with lightweight weights in their home, right?
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be super heavy. If you're going to fatigue and failure with many, many reps, that's still great too. When there's a burn and you're tired and exhausted, you're building muscle also.
Then stretching. Yoga is one that's really good. What are some other, is Pilates more in the
Yeah, Pilates
stretching?
does stretching too, stretching, strengthening. And the stretching is there's so much online with stretching. People love to give. I mean, there's like Balanced Body has videos of at pretty much anywhere you can have a whole course, Les Mills, that does everything at your little fingertips that you can go over. With stretching, there's different bodies though. So we have, I've just observed really maybe more naturally tight bodies and a little bit more hypermobile bodies. And so you'll want to kind of assess where am I? Maybe stretching is a little bit better. You spend more time for those that are a little tighter on stretching. For those hypermobile bodies that can get into the positions really easy, I would probably more focus on stability and core.
Another area is balance training. Of
Yeah, yeah.
course, you add all of this in our training, but what are some good things that they can do for balance training?
So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Stability training or proprioception is balance training, any kind of single leg stuff. So if you're in, say, strength training is your gig, then you can do any kind of single leg stuff where you're doing like Bulgarian split squats, you're doing single leg Romanian deadlifts, and then you can feel like, okay, I'm still building muscle too. I'm not just standing on my leg balancing. There's pistol squats, there's reverse pistol squats, there's calf so many different kind of calf raises and calf strengthening or lateral movements that you need for hip strength. Dancing is also stability training, or ballet bar is another one where you're going to be doing any kind of single leg stuff. So you can also stand on balance pads that more gets your ankles. I would just say that there's like, for the older generation, they like slow tai chi, or holding on, maybe holding on while getting their balance a little bit caught up.
And I love Qigong.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And that's something that I adopted years ago,
yeah,
and it's more of a meditative, but with the energy part of it, but there is
yeah.
balance and intention
Yeah,
and
there's
things like
just
that.
so many different ways. There's, if you're an athlete and you like explosive training, there's single leg, there's ice skaters, there's drills where you jump back and forth. So
And that would kind of fall into the endurance training, right?
yeah, yeah. The sky's the limit. I mean, whatever you like, you can do.
But I get the feeling that just like our menu, the more variety of foods that we eat, like the different vegetables that we eat, the more minerals and vitamins and things that we can extract from it, instead of just eating green beans every single day. But
Yeah.
I get the feeling that movement is possibly that way.
The same goes with movement too. So it doesn't, I know I'm saying it doesn't have to be complex, but say you're already a mover and you're like, I have found things I like. And actually, keeping in one position for too long can hurt you rather than help you. So, like, rounding isn't necessarily wrong, arching isn't necessarily wrong. But if we stay here too long, or we stay here too long painting, we're a painter, we do hair like this for this many hours a
Mm.
day, we do one form of exercise always over and over and over, yeah, you probably can, get an injury or tightness, or it's not as balanced as we need. So say you have been moving for a while and you're like, my body feels creaky, achy. I don't know if I'm getting a good balanced workout. That's when, you want to add in that, all those like strength training, like you said, stability, aerobic, all that to make sure that we're at least a little bit more bulletproof.
So the invitation that we're leaving you with this week would be,
Just move.
yeah, go out there and do something. Think of
Yeah.
something. What do you love to do? Throw on that music and have that little dance jam in your home. Find local people that want to do the same things that you do. Maybe you are a solitary exerciser and love to run and with headphones on, or maybe you're a social person, and there's so many different organizations out there, different community things that are happening. If you have a community rec center, there's so many different programs that you can join. But the important thing is, if we want our brains to progress, we have got to move our bodies. If we want our health to continue, vitality, and it is about health and vitality,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And emotional stability.
Yeah.
We've got to be strong physically.
Yeah. And really, an hour a day is great health insurance. It's not, I can put in an hour a day to have a good quality of life. One of my favorite quotes is the Dalai Lama, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, he answered man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money, and he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die, and then dies having never really lived.
That's powerful.
Yeah, because I mean, we get caught up in our lives, and I know life is so hard for everybody. And it just is like, but I don't have time to move. That there's gonna come a time where your time is up, where we took all this time to make money, and we didn't live presently, and then it catches up to us. And so it's helpful right now to just put in that little bit of time, so our future isn't spent, all our money isn't spent trying to recuperate our health.
Well, and they say we only have one body.
Yeah.
And so we have to take care of the one that we have.
Yeah.
And we can have fun doing it at the same time. So our
Yeah.
encouragement is just get out and move. And movement really doesn't have to cost anything.
Yeah.
Walking, running,
Yeah.
finding people to play with.
Yeah.
Play with your kids, but it is about moving. It's about having fun. And I think one of the biggest things that I love to pull in is music. because music makes my body
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
And we've got that natural beat maker inside of us, our heart. So
Yeah, you
anytime there's
could
rhythm or music, we are absolutely attracted to that.
Yeah, because look at TikTok. People love the dances on TikTok. All ages, everybody does. But if you think about it, like you said, the only home we will ever live in for our whole entire lives is our bodies. And it's not fun to have a miserable existence inside your body. And you don't have to. You really don't. You don't have to live in pain. You don't have to live in anxiety. And there's going to be those periods of time. There's going to be, but there's a way out. And movement really, really helps.
Well, hopefully you're motivated to move. I wish you all had a Helina in your life, and find your options near you, because we're creators and we create the life that we want. So we create the opportunities or the inopportunities. So we hope this gave you a lot of information on the benefits of moving, different options, different ideas. Helina, thank you so much.
Thanks for having
This
me.
is amazing to have you here, and I have learned so much from her, and I look forward to all the other things I'm going to be learning from her. If you have information that you'd like to share with us on why you exercise and different ideas you have, you can leave those at info@levelupteam.com. We look forward to hearing from you. And if you are interested in learning more about the brain-body connection and want to be a part of the Level Up team, we would love to have you go to info@levelupteam.com/learn more to learn how you can bring Level Up into your home and into your community and your homeschooling communities. All right, till next week. Thanks so much. See you later. Bye-bye.